Hello everyone, warm welcome to Sarat Chandra IAS Academy, where your dreams are our mission. This is Yatharth here. So today we'll be discussing about rangelands, UNCCD, and what is desertification, as well as what is the connection to India. Alright, so very important topic for the prelims. We'll also be further learning about various different things related to grasslands and all, but these are in the next lecture. So in this lecture, we'll majorly be talking about rangelands. Alright, so in the further lecture, we'll be talking about grasslands of the world, and we'll learn their mapping. All right. And in the next lecture, probably I'll include it in the grassland lecture only. So we'll be talking about the samal trees issue in Rajasthan. Earlier question has been asked on invasive species in UPSC only from Rajasthan. Okay, next we'll be talking about the controversy over eucalyptus planting in Kerala. So we'll see whether eucalyptus is acting as an invasive species or what is the issue in Kerala. As well as Rajasthan. All right. So first of all, let us talk about the news. Okay, so what is the news? Why are we reading this all? Where does it all begin? Okay, so first of all, let us see what is the news. Okay, so let's come to this. So about half of the world's rangelands. So now we have the term rangelands. And what we are seeing that about 50% of the rangelands are degraded. They are degraded. What is the meaning of degraded? Just a second. Okay, yes. So degraded. So whatever, let's say we have a grade of things. All right, we are grading things. Let's say this is grade A, this is grade B. So that means the grade A has fallen to grade B, or it has demoted. Okay, so they have been demoted from rangelands to something of a lower category. Lower category. Now we need to classify what is this lower category. So this can be a desert. Okay, so desert or let's say an arid region. Arid region with low productivity, overall low productivity. Okay, so what is this rangelands? This we need to see. These are geographical areas or regions. So we'll see how we define rangelands. Okay, so what does the report say? That about 50% of these have been degraded and they need policy interventions, and communities, depending on them, need focused support. Okay, so two things. First of all, the geographical regions itself or themselves need the policy interventions, and as well as the communities which depend on these rangelands. Okay, they need some sort of support. Okay, focused support. All right. Next thing, that this report has been released by UNCCD. UNCCD. So we need to see what is this UNCCD first. Okay, before we go on further with our lecture, we need to see what is this UNCCD. Okay, so let's see this. Just a second. All right, so UNCCD. So it is United Nations. Wherever it is UN, you can just see that it is United Nations. United Nations. So furthermore, what is the CCD here? It is convention. It is a convention. So convention is basically an agreement or legal agreement. Legal agreement. Okay, towards combating. That means C and D. Combating what? Combating means fighting against the D. That is, what is D here? Desertification. Desertification. So whenever we see fication word, okay, we see that the process of converting into. Okay, process of converting into a desert. So that means something is being converted into a desert. So of course, it has to be a geographical region. So that means something more productive, more lush, converts into a desert. So that process is known as desertification. All right. So this is UNCCD. Now we need to see more about this, that when this was erupted and all. Okay, so let's see that. Okay. So this convention was erupted in Paris, France. In Paris, France. And when it was erupted? In June 1994. In June 1994. All right. And it was, let's say, coming into the force. It came into force in December of 1996. So please remember this date or this date, whichever you prefer. Okay, or remember both. So it is the only internationally legally binding. It is legally binding. Please remember this is legally binding. So what is the mean of legally binding? That means the nodal ministry of that country, let's say in the India, it is environment ministry. Okay, they have to make some sort of law, and they have to make a law which, let's say, promote some activities or restrict some activities. All right. So framework set up to address the process of desertification. It has 197 parties, and India is also a member. Is India a member? If somebody asks of UNCCD, then yes, India is also a member. Okay. Now to help publicize the convention, one more thing we need to remember, that 2006. Okay, I'll just put it here. Okay, so 2006, this was declared as International Years of Deserts and Desertification. International Year of Deserts. Last year it was of millets and all. Okay. So this is about the UNCCD. So please remember this all. Now next, let's move to desertification. So what is the desertification? So first of all, please remember a few things that we saw two things, that one, it is formation of a desert. Desertification means formation of desert. Now, two things have to be remembered from here, that it happens as a gradual process. It is not a sudden transformation. It is a gradual process. All right, this is the first thing. Second thing, it is a degradation. It is a degradation. That means we dislike it. We do not want it. Okay, ecologically, we do not want it or prefer it. Okay, it is a degradation of what? Fertile land. Fertile good land into a bad land. Just a second. I'll write it here. Okay, fertile land into arid desert or a bad land. So what does mean, let's say, what are we saying? Arid. What are we calling arid as? So less water, basically. Temperature is higher. And it does not promote growth. Does not promote natural growth. Okay, what we are saying, fertile land. So there has to be some water. There has to be some sort of vegetation. And there has to be some sort of growth or regrowth. Growth as well as regrowth. What is regrowth? Growth means one time. Okay, let's say there was one time tree or grass. Something came and eat it. Okay, let's say it ate it. Then there has to be regrowth. That means it should come back. So that is the nature of fertile land. Okay. So when the fertility of land ends, then that means if something came and ate it, it will never regrow. Okay, and it will eventually be converted into arid land, arid desert. Now it can happen because of what? Loss of fertility. Loss of fertility is the main concern. Loss of fertility. Now how can a soil lose fertility? How can that happen? Because of two things. Okay, let's say it can be because of the climate change. Climate change. That means low water and high temperature. This I already told you. Second thing are anthropogenic actions. Anthropogenic actions. That means human activities such as, let's say, pollution. Okay, devegetation or deforestation. So this can lead to desertification. Okay, so this is, let's say, the core and crux of desertification. Now let us talk about which areas are more affected by this process, desertification. Okay, so here are some areas. Geographic areas most affected are located in Africa. Okay, the first areas located in Africa. So they are Sahel region of the Africa. Okay, even the Sahara region. And population growth has led to increased lodging, illegal farming, and land clearing for housing. So this is the region here. Second, we see this Mongolia and the Central Asia. All right. So this in the region of Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, which surround the ALC, overuse of water. Okay, for irrigation has been one of the factors responsible for the shrinkage of the sea. We saw Uzbekistan very recently in the news. In Central Asia's first nuclear power plant, okay, is being built in Uzbekistan by Russia. So this is the current affair we saw. So please remember. All right. Next thing. Next we saw in the third in the Southern Americas we saw. Okay, from here also we saw the current affairs recently from Venezuela. The last glacier lost, the Humboldt Glacier. That was also because of the global warming. Okay, El Nino effect, as well as we saw multiple rivers from here and important lakes. Catatumbo lighting also we saw. So please remember all those things. So fire and deforestation ravaging the Amazon rainforest in Brazil. Okay, directly or indirectly related to livestock farming are creating arid zone. Now next we see the fourth one in the Northern Americas. So effect of climate change again in the form of increasing droughts, over farming, desertifying the large parts of western and southwestern United States. And lastly we saw in Australia also. Okay, due to effects of overgrazing, overcultivation, deforestation. So mainly we come across two things. One is the climate change and second is the human related activities. And human related activities basically mean overuse. Overuse. Okay, that means not letting the regrowth happen and decrement in the fertility. All right, next thing, that these drylands occupy 40 to 41% of Earth's area. 40 to 41% of Earth's area, and they are home to over 2 billion people. 2 billion people. Okay, so they support a large amount of population, a large number of population. All right, now let's come to the next part, that what are rangelands? Okay, why they are so important and why the UNCCD report says that they are being degraded. Okay, so what are rangelands first of all? So let's see this here. Okay, in context of these images only, let us see. Let me change the pen color. All right, this looks good. So UNCCD report defines rangelands. Okay, first of all, let's see this term, range lands. Okay, so it says that they can either be natural, natural or semi-natural, semi-natural ecosystems. Please remember, it does not say that these are exclusively geographical regions. Geographical regions. Okay, it's not saying exclusively they are geographical regions. While what does it mean that they are geographical region? But it also includes the vegetation they have, the certain type of vegetation they have, the animals that are being supported by these plants, as well as people. Okay, the communities which are dependent on it. So that is why it is using the term ecosystem, which is a better term in this context. All right. So now it is saying that are grazed by livestock or wild animals, that are grazed by livestock or wild animals. So what it is saying basically, that say there is sun. Okay. So sun's radiation is coming, energy is coming, and it's leading to growth of the plants which are primary producers in the fertile land. Okay. Now thing is that primary consumers now, the primary consumers, such as let's say herbivores. So they are grazing on this land. Okay, and that is leading to a food web or food chain. Food chain or food web. Okay, now what we are seeing, if this leads to a degradation, then it will be a continuous effect on everybody who is dependent on this food chain of food web. All right, so this is what the UNCCD report is saying. So it has defined rangeland as ecosystems. Okay, so rangeland contains various vegetation such as grasses, shrubs, bushes, open forest, and so on. So they also contain agroforestry systems. They also contain agroforestry systems. Now, what exactly to call a rangeland? Because as we can naturally see, they will also be including grasslands. And we have multiple names for grasslands already. Sometimes they are known as savanna, sometimes they are known as steppe, sometimes as prairie, sometimes as velds. Okay, we'll see this in next lecture. Let's say as per mapping, what is the feature of these and how they are differentiated. But for now, for rangelands at least, the UNCCD, let's say the people there have made an atlas. All right, it is prepared by the consortium of international non-profit and United Nations agencies. Basically, they have made a book, they have made an atlas to classify the rangelands. Okay. Next thing, rangeland cover over 80 million square kilometer of Earth's terrestrial surface area. So this statistics is very important. This figure is very important. 80 million square kilometer of Earth's surface area. That's basically means 50% of the Earth's surface. 50% of the Earth's land, sorry. Okay, Earth's surface is very big. It has ocean also. What we are eliminating, let's say this is our Earth. So we are eliminating the oceans. Okay, only keeping the land. And from that also 50% is covered with the rangelands. 50% is covered with the rangelands. Now, what is the significance of the rangeland? Okay, let us see to that. So they work as the carbon sink. That means they act a place in the carbon dioxide cycle. Just a second. Let me change the pen color again. Okay, make it black. All right. So CO2, carbon dioxide cycle. Okay, so what is absorbing the carbon dioxide? We all know the process of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis. That means synthesis of any food product for itself from the organic matter, that is carbon dioxide, in the presence of sunlight. In the presence of sunlight, using the energy of sun as a conservation factor. Okay, so it's basically converting carbon dioxide into glucose for itself. Okay, C6H12O6, and the various reactions are involved. Basically, what it is doing is capturing the carbon from the environment. Okay, this carbon eventually goes to the land. Okay, some is lost via respiration naturally. I hope you all know that plants, both, every living cell does respiration. Okay, they all do photosynthesis also as well as respiration. Okay, now when this plant dies or something happens, this carbon dioxide or carbon, basically organic matter, is absorbed into the land also, soil also. So it increases the organicness of the soil. Okay, now what happens that we need plants. We need plants for this CO2 cycle to operate. Okay, and for regrowth and growth to happen in an ecosystem. All right, so this is a functional ecosystem. Now what happens if these plants are not present here? If these plants will die out, if these plants are not present here, the ecosystem will be destroyed. Okay, because if we do not have water also, if we do not have plants also, then we cannot capture carbon. It will basically convert into an arid zone, a badland. Okay, into a desert. Okay, so do we know that there are plants in the desert? There are xerophytic plants in the desert. Okay, but their productivity is only 1 to 2%. Okay, of a normal ecosystem, or like an ecosystem with good plants or better plants. Okay, their only motive is to survive. Xerophytic plants, their only motive is to survive. Okay, their adaptations are very different from normal plants. They have different sort of adaptations. The succulent plants, cactus, etc., you must have seen. Okay, Now let's go to the further thing, that what is the issue related to this. Okay, what is happening? So first of all, I have some statistics again, that millions of people worldwide depend upon rangeland for food security as well as livelihood. Okay, let's just write it or do not write. It's a very natural process where wherever we have some growth or vegetation, we'll depend on it for the food, all right, via herbivores. And second thing, for the livelihood also, I'll explain to you how livelihood will matter. Okay, second thing, rangelands generate 60% of the global food production. Okay, so this is very important statistics. We'll write it down here, that 16% of the global food production. Okay, they cover 50% of the land, 50% of the total land, responsible for 16% of the food production, and 70% of the feed for the herbivores or our primary consumers. Please remember, we are also including the wild areas. Okay, so wild animals are also present. That is why I've written primary consumers. Second thing, that in India, rangeland occupied 1.12 million square kilometer. In India, we are looking at 1.21 million square kilometer of rangelands. Okay, important is the North Indian rangelands, especially the Rajasthan as well as the Punjab region and these region. Okay, Haryana region, this region. These have more rangelands. Okay, or the grassland sort of vegetation. Okay. Next, let's move to a further thing, that what is the issues that UNCCD report has pointed out. So it is saying, the report is saying that nearly 50%. Okay, now 50% of the land they are grabbing. Okay, so what we are essentially coming to, 25% of the grasslands or rangelands present on the land. Okay, 50% of the 50%, 25%. So they can be considered degraded. They can be considered degraded. Okay, I already explained to you what does degraded mean. All right, I told you that it means moving towards gradually or gradual move towards the desertification. And we understood desertification already. What is it? Okay, slow conversation towards being arid. Two, three conditions are there: water, water less, and aridity increase. Arid means both hotter or drier. Okay, let's say we take the example of Gobi Desert in Mongolia and so on, then it may or may not be hot. Okay, may or may not be hot, but it has to be dry. That means less water. And less water means less growth or vegetation. Okay, so this is what the report says. Now, second thing, they are being basically going towards a silent demise. Now, we come to the reason. If somebody asks that why is it happening? Okay, what is the reason behind this all? So let us figure out why. One thing is climate change, as I already told you. And we have discussed climate change over and over again. It is anthropogenic action mostly, okay, after the industrial evolution. Second thing is unsustainable land and livestock management practices. Okay, so basically anthropogenic over exploitation or overuse. All right. Third thing is the loss of biodiversity, loss of biodiversity. Fourth thing is conversion of rangeland to farmlands. Okay, conversion of rangeland to farmlands. So nature is being destroyed because biodiversity is being reduced, as well as rangelands are being converted to farmlands. So we have a destruction in the natural ecosystem formation. And we cannot be better than nature sometimes. Okay, not always, but sometimes we cannot be better than the nature. What nature has selected as an ecosystem, it has come after million and million years of evolution. Okay, if we convert just everything to a systematic manner, let's say farmlands, then we will not have the same type of productivity which nature provided earlier. Next thing, uncertainty. Let's say this is one more thing, that land rights in the rangelands are not defined. Okay, nobody actually knows who is permitted to have this grazing practice here. So land rights become an issue. So what happens when land rights become an issue? That people come here for grazing. Okay, so they do the grazing part, but do not do the maintenance part. So in the lack of maintenance, what will happen? The growth will also stop. Okay, so the basically it will move on to desertification. Now next thing, what happens when this all happens? What is the result of this all? Okay, so let us see the results first. Results means the community depending. Okay, we are seeing as in human perspective lastly that communities which are dependent on rangelands, okay, they will be responsible for the repercussions that will happen to them. But first of all, their deterioration impacts soil fertility. Okay, their deterioration impacts soil fertility. Soil fertility will stop growth and regrowth. When growth and regrowth will happen, what will happen? Basically, area will be converted into an arid zone or arid region. Okay, so biodiversity will be lost. Biodiversity will be lost from here, leading to a dip in the income. Okay, biodiversity will be lost. That means no income for the communities which are residing here. Okay, and second thing, rise in conflict over grazing rights. That means when the area will be reduced, let's say initially this area was there. Okay, there are 30 people in this zone and 30 people in the B zone. Okay, now this area converts into a desertified area. Okay, this area converts into a desertified area. So what will happen? Migration of these people to this region will happen. Okay, now these people will try to have their fair share in this. Okay, they will say that we will now graze in this area. Now these people will be saying that we are unhappy with this. Okay, because you are let's say encroaching in our area. But these will say you do not have the land rights also. Okay, nobody has the land rights, neither me nor you. So why should not we share? Okay, so this will lead into some sort of conflict. And this can be very clearly seen right now in the Sahel region in Africa. Okay, very, very important case study, you can say. Okay, now let's finally come to the last points of our rangelands and all. That what is this pastoralism? What is the process of pastoralism? And why does it depend so much upon the let's say rangelands? Okay, and how in context of India we can see it. So it is a livelihood system. That means that this person is earning his livelihood by going through a system known as pastoralism. Okay, so via pastoralism, how he is earning his livelihood? Okay, what is happening? So one thing, that the sun comes up, so there is heat, and the cloud goes up, so there is water. So in the presence of heat and water, what happens? The organic carbon dioxide is taken up by the plants. Okay, and they give out glucose. They have some sort of carbohydrates in them. These carbohydrates are eaten by these animals. Okay, and now what further happens from this animal? Multiple things happen. Okay, one is livestock rearing. That means it's a continuous process. Continuous process because of regrowth of these plants. So this process keeps on going. Okay, first thing that comes out of this animal is dairy. Dairy means milk. Okay, please remember all this. Second thing, when it stops giving dairy, they are often or sometimes even intentionally, okay, they are basically killed for meat, for the meat industry. Okay, other than their let's say hair are taken out and wool is made. They also naturally shed their skin. Okay, and fourth thing is the leather production. After their death or even sometimes when they are killed, their skin is used for making leather. So all these things collectively make money. Okay, livelihood for this person. This person is happy until rangelands are there. If the rangeland do not be, let's say they disappear, and finally this person will not be able to match his livelihood because the number of the animals grazing will be lessened. All right. Next thing, that this livelihood will also depend on some factors. Okay, livelihood will depend upon some factors. One thing is the quality of the rangelands. Second thing is quantity of the rangelands. That means how much area they have access to and what type of biodiversity is there. Okay, that means animals will be happy if more biodiversity will be there. Okay, they'll get to eat more plants or different type of plants. And area, the farmer will be happy because they will be able to let more animals graze. Let more animals graze overall. Okay, so either of this disappears, then it will be bad for the livelihood of the communities depending on these rangelands. All right, next we move to the India. What is the situation in India? So in India, we see that almost 13 million people. 1 million means 10 lakh. Okay, 13 millions mean 130 lakh or 1.3 crores. Okay, that's a lot of people. So they are involved into this pastoralist lifestyle. They are involved in this pastoralist lifestyle. That means their main job is rearing the cattle or animals and depend on the meat, dairy, leather, and these sort of industries. Okay, most important of these people, some examples I am writing, these are Gujjar Vakarwals. These are mostly found in J&K region. Gujjar Vakarwals are found in Jammu and Kashmir region. Okay, others are Rebaris. Devaris are found in Rajasthan. Rebaris are a tribe. Then there is Raika, Kuruba. Kuruba are found in Tamil Nadu. Okay, Kuruba, then there is Maldharis and so on, multiple tribes mostly. Okay, they rely on the rangelands. Okay, but they do not have the forest rights and so on. In the context of this, you can also read the Forest Rights Act 2006. 2006 and the recent amendments to it, the amendment of 2021. So this can be an issue if you are having anthropology optional also. Okay, so should read that. All right, next thing, that what is their economic contribution to India? What is their economic contribution to India? So India is home to 20% of the world's like livestock population. Okay, 20% of the world's, we are talking about world livestock population. Okay, around 77% of these animals. Okay, so one thing we see, this is our urban cow. This is our urban cow. You'll find it on road. Okay, sitting and enjoying. So this is not involved in the pastoral lifestyle. This another cow. This is our rural cow. This is employed in the pastoral lifestyle. Okay, pastoral lifestyle means it is eating grass. It is having dairy, use in dairy. Okay, it is having use in meat or leather. Meat or leather as well. Okay, and there are multiple animals such which are living this lifestyle. Okay, so 77% of these animals are being reared in the pastoralist system. Now what happens? They are either herded or left to range on common lands. Okay, so pastoralists also protect indigenous livestock breeds and protect traditional knowledge about animal rearing. So there has to be some knowledge transfer, traditional knowledge, very important. Traditional knowledge. That means knowledge about their disease and health also. Disease and health also. And their diet and so on, multiple things. Okay, so that is their economic contribution. First of all, this is their economic contribution, this thing. Okay, and second, it is a subjective or second type of economic contribution that they are preserving the knowledge. Okay, so this is their total economic contribution. Now let's come to the next topic, mostly our last topic. Okay, that what is the further their economic use. So India is the world's largest producer of the milk. India is number one in this. okay, in the milk production, and it accounts to 23% of the global milk production. So most of this milk is coming from the farmlands, okay, commercial farmlands, but some of it is also coming from the rangelands. So we should preserve rangelands, okay, for these communities and these people. One more thing, it is also the largest producer of the buffalo meat. It is also the largest producer of the buffalo meat. Okay. Second thing, and largest exporter of sheep and goat meat. First in sheep as well as goat meat. Okay, this is India first into this. Okay, as per the animal husbandry department. So this is their economic contribution apart from their humans contribution or human phase. Okay, human sector is that we have ethical and moral, ethical as well as moral responsibilities to save these communities. To save these communities, we have an ethical and moral, let's say, responsibility toward the environment. And we also now know that what is their economic share. That at least for this we should save them. All right, for environment as well as for economy as well as for ethical and moral values towards preserving the livelihood of these tribal communities or small communities which are present in India. Okay, so this is how you can form this answer and write this answer. So this is Yatharth here signing off. If you have any comments, kindly let me know your feedback in the comment section. So I'll see you in the next lecture. Have a great day ahead. Take care.